The people who brought you the Creation Museum and the governor of Kentucky today announced plans for the Ark encounter. Let's tour the grounds. According to the Louisville Courier-Journal, the Cinderella's Castle of the Ark encounter will be a 500-foot-long replica of Noah's Ark, complete with animals. The 800-acre park will also include a walled city, a replica of the Tower of Babel, which sounds blasphemous to me, a 500-seat special effects theater, an aviary, and a first-century Middle Eastern village. Not an actual one, I imagine. No roller coasters, no Ferris wheels, just Bible stuff. According to the Ark Encounter website, the park will be a, quote, fun, educational, and wholesome attraction, and will be an asset to the region. The project is a joint venture between the for-profit Ark Encounters LLC and the nonprofit group Answers in Genesis. Answers in Genesis is a group that in 2007 opened Kentucky's Creation Museum, which is dedicated to portraying the Bible's view of history. Among their claims, the earth was created in 6 days, just 6,000 years ago, and that at one time, man and velociraptor coexisted peacefully. According to the Answers in Genesis website, their mission is three-pronged. Quoting here, "We take the absolute truth and authority of the Bible to the world. We teach the relevance of a literal Genesis to the mission fields of the world. We obey God's call for global evangelism for all ethnic groups in the world." And now they have asked taxpayers to subsidize their Bible-based theme park. And the state of Kentucky is complying. Again, according to the Courier-Journal, developers are seeking state tax incentives under the Kentucky Tourism Development Act. If they qualify, and Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear indicated they would, they could receive as much as $37.5 million in incentives. Today, Kentucky's Democratic governor joined the park's owners for the big announcement. He claimed Ark Encounter would create hundreds of jobs for his state and defended the use of taxpayer money to subsidize the project.
This is an application for a theme park. The law doesn't allow us to discriminate about the entertainment subject matter of theme parks as long as it's legal and in good taste.
Joining me now is Sam Seder of samseder.com, the host of the Majority Report, which is back streaming at majority.fm, is that right?
That's
Weekdays,
right.
And you can also get it on iTunes. So we have a defense from the governor of this. What do you think about using state dollars for this sort of thing?
Well, I mean, it's state dollars that come in from their sales tax that take place there, and so it's more of a rebate. I mean, I think that it's probably would stand the test in terms of constitutionality. Yep. But the real question is, could another religion actually build their own theme park? Would they qualify for this type of subsidy? Because I don't know, frankly, if a Jewish proselytizing or a Muslim theme park would do that well in that neighborhood.
A Lubavitcher, I would love to see a Lubavitcher theme park in the middle of Paducah.
Maybe a big furry hat and people can spin around on it. But I mean, that's really the only question is it in practice actually discriminatory, because only a Christian theme park could actually qualify for these subsidies in practice. But I think it's a bit of a stretch. They probably can do it. And
and that's in some ways what's so pernicious about it, right, is that they can say, well, this is viewpoint neutral, because they know full well that Abdul Rauf isn't going to come in and say, I want a Park 51 Islamic Community Center theme park to get this tax break.
I suppose. I mean, but, there is a little history to this. I mean, the founders, AIG, of the Creation Museum, Ken Ham, I think he was on the McNeil-Lear report back in the day and said this was expressly to arm Christians in a debate against evolution. And so this isn't, this is a pretty specific agenda that these people are holding. But frankly, I'd prefer a theme park than the museum, because a museum implies that this is actually real, as opposed to, like, this is more like Disney. And you have this notion of the world that is more fantastical.
Right. Were you surprised? I was a little surprised it was a Democratic governor doing this, although I guess the politics...
It's Kentucky. It's Kentucky. I mean, I think that's the bottom line, is it's Kentucky, and, I think it probably will bring a bunch of jobs. I mean, this thing has been enormously successful. They picked that area specifically because it was within a radius of one of the largest concentrations of Americans within 500 miles that would attend And so
you're talking about the original Creation Museum. That's
yes, and I think this is going to be.
I've never been. I've heard Michelle Goldberg, who's written a book called Kingdom Coming, has told me about it. There's the dinosaur riding the guy riding the dinosaur.
Oh, and I've spoke to someone actually back on the old Majority Report. I spoke to someone for 25 minutes as they were in the planning stages, and they said, it's going to specifically try and poke holes in evolution. It's going to contend that man walked contemporaneously with dinosaurs. It's going to suggest that evolutionary theory is what they call historical science as opposed to observational science, which then brings up the question, like, how do you know that dinosaurs even existed at that point?
Right.
But be that as it may,
can God make a suitcase that's too heavy for him to lift?
Right, exactly. And I think there's something about a banana too. About why would you make a banana? But I mean, the bottom line is it's been wildly successful. I mean, the real question is, are they going to be able to discriminate against who they hire at this theme park as opposed to their museum? Because if they're getting state subsidies, that opens the door to a real question: are they the not-profit side, or are they the profit side? And I mean that literally in terms of like making money as opposed to being prophetic.
PHET.
Yes, and so that's really going to be the real question.
This seems to me lawsuit bait. Sam Cedar is from MajorityReport.fm, and
it's Majority.fm or MajorityReportRadio.com.
Great. Thanks so much for joining me.